Hello Twitter, hello Instagram, hello YouTube. Ed here, or as I'm known on those platforms, Eyepatch Story, and today I'm going to be talking to you about Lungbarrow. Lungbarrow is a very, very, very important story in the canon of Doctor Who. It's one of those stories really where it's about the Doctor rather than about the struggle with the monsters. It's one of those watershed stories, sort of like the War Games, the Three Doctors, the Deadly Assassin. And really it should have been in the TV series, but JNT sort of vetoed it, so it came out as adapted as Ghostlight. But this story is very, very important. It's the very, very last Seventh Doctor Virgin New Adventure. It had the job of wrapping up 26 years of TV continuity, 7 years of book continuity, 10 years of a Cartmel master plan. More on that later. So I think, really, I should give you some history. I've never said this before, but run VT. Did you like that? I like that. And there's more video later. So, the Cartmel Master Plan. Andrew Cartmel, script editor, 1987 to 89. Him, along with Ben Aranovich and Mark Platt, came together with this thing that became known as the Cartmel Master Plan, which was designed to engage more mystery into the Doctor. It seems like we knew too much about him, and they came up with this plan, that the Doctor was one of the founding fathers of Gallifrey, known as the Other, or more like a descendant or a reincarnation of one of the founding fathers of Gallifrey, who was known as the Other. And it's this revelation that the Doctor has heritage, was linked back to the old times in Gallifrey, that forms a central part of the revelation in the plot of Lungbarrow. But the plot itself is more concerned on the Doctor returning home. There's three plot strands. There's an A plot, a B plot, and the revelation. So the A plot is the Doctor returning home to his ancestral home of Lungbarrow after 673 years away. The descriptions of Lungbarrow are really, really atmospheric. It's dark, it's dank, it's musty, it's murky. There's sentient furniture. The house itself is sentient. The corridors are patrolled by golem-like drudges who are part jailer, part servant. And then there's the Doctor's family. But before I come on to the Doctor's family, I'm going to read you the blurb from the back of the book. "Nonsense, child," retorted the Doctor. "Grandfather indeed? I've never seen you before in my life." All is not well on Gallifrey. Chris Quedge is having someone else's nightmares. Ace is talking to herself, so is K9. Leela has stumbled on a murderous family conspiracy, and the beleaguered Lord President Romana foresees one of the most tumultuous events in her planet's history. At the root of it all is an ancient and terrible place, the House of Lungbarrow in the southern mountains of Gallifrey. Something momentous is happening there, but the house has inexplicably gone missing. 673 years ago, the Doctor left his family in that forgotten house. Abandoned, disgraced and resentful, they have waited, and now he's home at last. In this, the Seventh Doctor's final new adventure, he faces a threat that could uncover the greatest secret of them all. So after 673 years, the Doctor has returned home to his family. They're not a family like you and I would imagine. Because Time Lords are loomed, rather than being born, they're not brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, they're all cousins. So I'm going to tell you something about some of the Doctor's cousins that live in the House of Lungbarrow. And I'm also going to tell you who play them in a film. And if you're very, very, very lucky later on, I'll show you the trailer for the film. It only existed in my head until yesterday, but it's coming out soon. Probably not. So, cousins. There's cousin Sathalope. She's obviously going to be played by Stephanie Cole. She's a very Miss Havisham-esque figure, and she acts as the housekeeper of the House of Lungbarrow. There's cousin Glospin, He's a nasty piece of work, not a nice man at all, and he really has got it in for the Doctor. He's played by Christopher Walken. There is cousin Innocent. She's as sweet and as innocent as her name sounds. She's the Doctor's ally in the house, and she's played by Winona Ryder. Then there's the nasty, obsequious, greedy, selfish cousin Ois, played by Timothy Spall, but a young Timothy Spall. He shouldn't really exist. The House of Lungbarrow was allocated 45 cousins, and cousin Ois was loomed when the Doctor left the house, even though the Doctor wasn't dead. And then there's cousin Quences. But cousin Quences is dead, and he's been dead for 673 years. Doesn't matter. Despite that, he's played by Ian Richardson. Dead, I said. Murdered, actually. And murdered by someone who looked very, very, very much like the first Doctor. Because at the heart of it, really, the A-plot of Lungbarrow is a murder mystery. It's really who killed cousin Quences. Cousin Quences was murdered on his death day. He was going to die anyway, but he was murdered before he could reveal who his successor as Kithiarch or head of the House of Lungbarrow was. It's a really, really gripping plot because all the evidence points to the first Doctor, and that's being the reason he ran away from Gallifrey. The B-plot involves a right-wing military coup against Romana and her liberal policies on Gallifrey. It's a bit of an Avengers Assemble. She brings together friends of the Doctor's to help her. There's her, there's Leela, there's Ace, there's two versions of K9, there's Andred. And it's like a political thriller. And then there is the revelation. The revelation part of the plot, which blows everything apart, which tells you everything you need to know about the Doctor and his origins. Okay, if you've not read the book, these are going to be very, very big spoilers. So, the first Doctor goes back in time to the ancient time in Gallifrey and witnesses this happening. He witnesses Rassilon, Omega, and the Other. And Rassilon becomes increasingly more and more dictatorial, more and more militaristic. The Other doesn't like it. So the Other, to escape Rassilon's tyranny, throws himself into the Master Loom. And his genetic material is spread forth. Go forward in time, that genetic material is reloomed, and the character that we know as the Doctor has some of that genetic material as part of him. So there's a sort of, how would I say it? They are of the Other. Not quite a reincarnation, but they're made of bits of the Other. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Back in the old times on Gallifrey, the Doctor stumbles into a house and meets a young girl called Susan, who immediately recognises the Doctor as her grandfather, even though he doesn't look like the Other. And they go off travelling together. So, the Doctor is a sort of reincarnation of the Other. Susan isn't really his granddaughter. He's the Other's granddaughter. And the adventure that we know begins. Would you like to see that? Because I prepared a trailer. Have a look at this. It's not coming to a cinema anytime soon, unless it's a cinema that lives inside my head, but there we are. So, that's your story, the origin story of the Doctor. But hold on, Ed, you say? The Timeless Children contradicts that. Yes, it does. And no, it doesn't. You see, here we're going to get into that really, really murky water of the C word, Canon. What is canon? Does it matter? It does to me. There's a couple of takes on it that can sort of make them fit together very, very, very nicely, and I'm going to go through them with you now. You see, there's a couple of ways that the Timeless Children and Lungbarrow can exist in the same universe. First option has come up with by one of my favourite people in Doctor Who fandom, Eddie McGuigan. Hope he doesn't mind me mentioning him, but this is a really good theory. He's come up with a multiverse theory that all canon from all spin-off material everywhere exists and is equally valid, but it's all from parallel or multi-universes. Do you know, if the BBC came out and said that, I'd be a very, very happy man. I love that theory, but my theory is slightly different. I go more with the Lance Parkin, take on canon, is that everything exists in one big canon. That there's plenty of square pegs that can be hammered into round holes. And I think I've done quite a job hammering Lungbarrow and the Timeless Children together, if you'll bear me out. I also see the Virgin New Adventures as canon. They were an official continuation of the series and are as valid as any episode of the television series. So Lungbarrow is also canon and Lungbarrow is also valid. But it gives a contradictory origin story for the Doctor. Or does it? I don't think it does. So, Timeless Children. The Timeless Child is a progenitor of the Doctor. We know that. Okay? 2. The Timeless Child is an alien or other who was not from Gallifrey. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that during the term of Rassilon, who became increasingly more and more militaristic and dictatorial, that any alien wouldn't be liked on Gallifrey and was referred to as alien or other. But the other was important because they were the progenitor of the Time Lord species, so they were allowed to carry on and have a place of high importance in Gallifreyan society. So, the other from the Timeless Child, the other then throws themselves into a loom, becomes the Doctor, and the Doctor then carries on as we know them with 13 lives. Continuity is intact. Hallelujah. If you don't like that, comment. If you do like that, comment. I'm really, really interested to hear what you think. One last appeal before I go. Lungbarrow is an incredibly rare book. You can pay silly money for it on eBay. It was available on the BBC website as a download, but that's gone. So my appeal would be, if there's anyone from the BBC watching this, or anyone who's got anything to do with the book, or someone from Big Finish, then could we get a reprint of the book? Could it be available as a download? Could there be an audiobook version with someone like Louise Jameson or Lalla Ward reading it out? Or perhaps even better, could Big Finish adapt it into a full cast audio drama with a PDF of the novel? Lovely sort of, it's 25th anniversary of Lungbarrow next year, 25th anniversary box set, get the cast together, adapt it, it'll be an epic, it'll sell, I know it'll sell, I'll buy it, and I'm sure lots of other people will as well. It's a story that deserves to be heard, and it deserves to be read, and it's really not been experienced by that many people because it's so rare. But if you can get a copy, read it, because it is one of the most important Doctor Who stories ever written. If you'd like my ramblings, click subscribe, click a like, and add comments. Or you can follow me on Twitter at iPatchStory or iPatchStory on Instagram as well. Thank you very, very, very much for watching. This has been Ed Watkinson for Ed Watkinson's Orbit of Eccentricity. Thank you very much. Bye-bye now.